call.
I don't mind at all. Since I know all of you. Lisa Thorne? Here. Brian Rutgers? Is not here. Ann Karasinski? Present. Wayne Leckletter? Here. Jay Ward?
Here.
You have 3 present out of 5 members.
And I'm here as well.
Yes. Adam's here. Sorry, Adam. I always add, I should call the chair's name last and I just left him
Not a
off
problem.
there, sorry.
No problem. All right, so
4 members present.
tonight we have, it looks like 3 public hearings, in which we'll go through, each separately. Let's see.
Would you like me to read them as I used to read them?
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Yes,
Okay,
appreciate that.
all right. Public hearing, ZBA, the public hearing says as follows. ZBA 24-12 is for a special exception. Samantha Dutra has requested a special exception to section 3AA, article B of the town of Swanzey zoning ordinance to construct a DADU, which is a detached accessory dwelling unit located at tax map 233 lot 9. The subject property is in the rural agricultural district and located at 166 Christian Hill Road. The second public hearing is for ZBA 24-013 and 24-014. Jake Shikani has requested 2 variances to section 5. The first one, Article B1, and the second, Article B3, to construct a duplex within all setbacks and on a lot under 1 acre. Subject property is at tax map 102, lot 81, and is in the business district. Number 3, public hearing is ZBA 24-013 and 24, no, that's the same one, sorry. 24-015, special exception. Daniel Rayner has requested a special exception to section 3AA, article A, to construct an AADU at tax map 103, lot 37. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Now, it come to our attention that one of the applicants is requesting that his application be moved to the next scheduled meeting. There's also been a discussion about potentially seeing or having a site visit on that property as well. So I don't know if we need to.
So we'll have to open up the public hearing for,
Mr. Chairman, should we approve the minutes first?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
there are no minutes.
There are no minutes. Then we don't have to-
Yeah.
There are no minutes.
But there being no minutes, let's not approve them.
Let's go ahead. Officially, all those in favor?
We had that special meeting and.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
That's right. There were no minutes, right?
Yep.
All right, so at this point, we have nobody to see. Otherwise, it's just the 4
That's correct.
members, the 4 board members.
And a regular member.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, cool.
So I'm gonna suggest that we move B to the first position. Does anyone have any?
You need
thoughts
to
with
open
that?
the public hearing first.
Okay. The public hearing is officially opened.
Thank you.
Okay,
And now,
now I would suggest that we move the second application on our list to number 1 slot, just to take care of that and move that forward in case there's anyone in the audience here
Yes,
that would
great
like
idea.
to weigh in on it.
And what are we considering moving it or not moving it? That's what we're considering.
So 2 things. One is we're considering the request by the applicant to move this to the next scheduled hearing.
for a continuation.
Continuation. And then the second aspect of this is there's been discussion about doing a site visit. I don't know that we need to make a motion on that, but that's something traditionally we've done if one of the members is requesting that we.
You will need a
make that
motion,
happen.
you will need a motion for the continuation.
Okay. So do I hear a motion? Anyone? I'll entertain a motion on.
I'll make a motion that we continue.
And I will second it,
Thank you.
And specifically, that's continuing to December 16th.
December 16th.
December 6th.
However, I also want to have a site visit during daylight hours.
Reason.
So that would mean that we might do it on the same day that we meet in the evening, or we could do it on another day as well. So how do we set the?
Typically, what we've done in the past is to do it the same day as the scheduled meeting earlier. But December 16th for daylight, we're
3 o'clock?
3 o'clock, 4 o'clock at the latest.
Whatever works for
Then we go home, have dinner, come back here.
Is that something that, is that what you're requesting?
Well, I'm requesting that we have a viewing, but does the landowner need to be there for that? And, because we're not taking any testimony, we're just looking,
Correct.
right? So they don't, but we need permission to be on the property, right? And I think we might, given the size of our board, if we're just viewing and not discussing, which we're not doing, we're not discussing,
Right.
then we could have more than one day to go view if we wanted, right?
Yes, there's a couple of ways we can do this. You each individually could go walk the site on your own between now and our,
With permissions,
with permission from Mr. Chicani.
so we'll need to get that.
Or we can schedule an official site visits. That will be part of the public hearing. And so that means we'll need to take minutes with the
Yes, I
site.
would take minutes on the site. I've done that
Yep.
before.
So, I mean, that might be easier. That way, at least it's part of the public hearing, that site visit, kind of like what you guys did this past summer.
Right, so maybe we could have, some, maybe whatever works in your schedule.
It's a Monday in the afternoon, it's fine.
A couple of days after, that's good.
We need to be sure, obviously, we'd like Wayne and Brian to be able to make it too, so
Right,
we'll
so-
find out soon if, for instance, not enough people can make it, we want to reschedule.
Yes,
Well, and I think we really only need a quorum for that to make sense. I do agree, having everybody there that can make it make sense.
And it is open to all interested parties, abutters, property owner, board members, so.
And that'll be announced in a public announcement of some sort on the site or,
Oh, I will be posting a public hearing notice, another one, and in the public hearing notice, I can post the time of the site visit. So yeah, I can do that.
And when we convene on the site, that opens the public hearing
Correct.
again, and then we're there at the site visit, we ask questions of you or the property owner, as we walk around.
so let's say Monday.
So actually, remember, at a site visit, you can, since it's a public hearing, you can actually ask questions of the property owner. And you can ask questions amongst each other. It's all going to be recorded, so you can do that. If you can literally have a small discussion, you're not going to talk a lot, but you can do that.
And not in individual groups, but together as a group.
As together as a group, and there'll be members of the public who are available. If a public hearing, if somebody wants to speak at that time, even though you're on site, they're allowed to do that.
Okay,
As long as the chair recognizes them, calls. them.
each person.
Yeah,
Okay,
And we need their name for the record.
so I'm in favor of that. So just to, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Monday, daylight, the day of the meeting.
yeah,
Okay,
Should we say 3 p.m.?
at what time?
Is that
3
3
p.m.
p.m.?
I
Cool.
get out of work at 3.
So
it takes
3:30?
10 minutes or so to get.
3:30?
I say 3:30.
3:30?
3:30.
Should be enough daylight.
that's good.
That's good.
That'll
Perfect.
work for me.
All right,
Okay, well, that's considered discussion of the motion that was made to continue this application. There was a second to that. You need to call for the,
all right. So all those in favor of moving this or continuing this to the next meeting? I don't know if we need to include the caveat of the site visit, but if we do, I'd like to include that information as well.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Uh,
I,
All those against? Motion passes.
Does that satisfy the requirement?
I have it all.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful. Okay, so he is, and just so everyone in the audience knows, anyone who is here to discuss this particular application, we're going to be continuing to the next following meeting, December 16th, 3:30 is the site visit. Yes, sir.
Did you say that the abutters could be at the site visit?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yep.
So this will be a public meeting as it is here, just on site.
What's the date again?
so in effect,
December 16th is our next meeting, and anybody in town can be there.
All right, thank you.
point of order, Mr. Chairman. In effect, the public hearing will not be closed tonight because you're continuing it. So the public hearing is a continuation at the
Continuation of-
site visit of an existing
Of
public
the
hearing.
existing meeting.
Yes, I'm just
Okay.
making that clear.
Understood.
And I will be posting, if anything changes, it will be posted at the two post offices, our website. Yeah, post offices and the website. Just for those interested.
Okay, excellent. Moving on. All right, so the first one, we're gonna go back to A. We're gonna take consideration ZBA 24-012, a special exception for Samantha Dutra. Would you like to kick us off, Adam, with some background information as to?
Adam, I have a question.
Yes,
Are the people who are here for their, special exception requests aware that they could also continue?
yes,
They're not,
yes. I sent you an email and I sent you an email.
and they're, okay,
Well, so so before we get started, we all have 4 voting members present today. You guys are allowed to ask for a continuance and wait for 5 voting members on your application if you want.
The difference is that you need 3 yes votes for it to pass. And 3 of 4 is harder to get than 3 of 5.
Exactly.
So you have the option of deciding what you want to do.
But wait, I think we'll take our chances.
Okay. Sam, you feeling okay?
Okay, excellent. So we're good to move on?
All right.
All right,
Yes.
fantastic.
Samantha Dutra has requested an application to construct a detached accessory dwelling unit. This is located at 166 Christian Hill Road, it's tax map 233 lot 9. Let me go through the staff comments first. I'm gonna run through the memo really quick. So the subject property. Apologies, that's for. Let me go back to the memo for this application. Apologies, Beverly. Correct. So the subject property is 5.5 acres. And the DADU will be located on the southern half of the property. Staff comments are as follows. Either the principal dwelling unit or DADU must be owner occupied. A building permit must be approved and issued prior to the construction of the DADU, and it shall meet all light and building codes. Prior to occupancy, the code enforcement officer must issue an occupancy permit. Both the primary dwelling unit and DADU must remain in common ownership and shall not be subdivided and or transferred to condominium ownership. Applicant must show a more detailed site plan and floor plan of the interior to determine if the structure meets the following requirements. DADU cannot exceed 1,000 square feet. DADU cannot have more than 2 bedrooms, and applicant needs permission from Board of Selectmen in order to maintain that portion of the roadway. There was an issue that our public works director brought up, that portion of the roadway is a summer road, and so it's only maintained in the summer. So she would need a waiver, let me see here, a formal waiver to maintain the road. And that would release liability of the town as well. So that has not been done yet. That's going to be scheduled for the next selectmen meeting, the Board of Selectmen meeting. So that would just need to be a condition of approval that she maintain, or that she obtain that waiver to maintain that portion of the road.
Okay,
So that is one concern, and that's probably the largest concern of staff's end.
okay. Well, Samantha Dutra. Yourself,
Yes.
welcome.
Please
Why don't you,
Open the public hearing first, please.
yes, we're gonna open up the public hearing on this, sorry, I've been the co-chair or vice chair for events, now I'm chairing it, so. Beverly is helping me in maintaining my directions. So tell us, the public hearing is now going to be opened, and this is where we get to talk about your particular application. So please tell us what you'd like to do, what you're trying to accomplish.
I got here, about 8 some years ago and loves the community and she lives here alone and have kids and I'm trying to have something near her where I can help her out and, where my kids, we can have our own private space. So it would be, I would follow the regulations of the town and, get something small enough and close enough to her. That's it, it's just for me and my kids to be here every week, and we come here every week anyway. But her house is just 2 bedroom, at the end of the road. So for me to help her out and help maintain her property as well. And keep her here.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. Oh, and that's really what the, you know, the idea behind the ADUs and the attached dwelling units is for situation scenarios just like this. It's the intention. We got 5.5 acres of land. So,
Yep, it's just, she's satisfying all of the setback requirements and, height requirements will be determined when, they submit the building permit. Those aren't required to submit the application. She's meeting all of the application requirements. Even septic, although she will need to have another condition with a stamped septic design. You want to talk about the septic design a bit?
So, Forest Designs is having a hard time getting in there to actually do a full perk test because of the access at the moment. But he walked the property with me as a general contractor and said, you know, he didn't see any sort of wetlands or any issues with any sort of problems with the septic. And basically, in the amount of time we were allotted, it was pretty hard to provide us the design at this point, so he just said that we can find some space, there's enough land there in order to make a system work on there. Which was pretty helpful for me, because we were on short time to make this meeting. But
Could I have your name, sir?
my name,
Yes,
Jay Donnell,
I'm sorry?
Jay,
Yes,
last name's Donnell,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, I'm just saying, I see on the plan here, the structures planned to be 930 square feet,
Somewhere in the vicinity.
so under 1,000 is
Yes.
required, yeah, okay. And are you the, Jay, are you the contractor that's building the,
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what's the plan here?
it's a pretty, the land is pretty forested, it's pretty thick and dense, so it's been very difficult to really get a lot of ideas of what, you know, where we can go and, but I do know if you guys all have a site plan there, there shows a well.
Mhm.
That it's extinct. The septic engineer said there's no way this would even have water coming in, so. That kind of opened up some other things, but until we can get a machine and get in there and kind of take a look. I think that's gonna be some help for them as well, because her mother must have a drilled well. Closer to her proximity is my thought. There's no way she's getting water from what is shown on the source of the.
so there must be another well on the property, is what you're saying.
There is, and we were unable to get the information from the state in time to get it to you guys.
But that-
this meeting, but-
You're expecting that will provide the water for both houses, then? Both the DADU and the,
We'll drill a new well. for
Okay,
her, with a
okay.
new structure, this, and her mother will have her own well, her own septic.
I see, well, I don't know, yeah,
Unless this old dug well, it's gotta be from like the 30s, it's an old artesian. I don't foresee it having water in it, I would take a pretty good site visit on that. There's no way it has water. But we'll determine that too with the septic engineer and see and make sure, but her mother's well, there's no, it's almost. It's gonna be like 300 yards from her house and there's pipes exposed, so any of those water lines would have cracked and exploded in one winter, you know.
what, was there another structure on the property at some point? Or,
There must have been, I honestly, I don't know, whatever was there, because there's the casing for the well cap that we uncovered has a tree growing through it that's probably 10 inches in diameter, so whatever that well was.
A number of years ago.
Yeah.
Um, But I did not see any foundations, there could have been a barn or something maybe a long time ago. But by the growth of the forest, there's some white pine in there that's 30, 40 inches in diameter, so it's pretty, some old growth in there.
Yeah.
But no house structures that I could see.
So I got a quick question. So run me through, and I'm looking at this particular.
Sure, and I apologize, usually I use steel stone.
Sure.
Because I didn't have, so.
So this right here, this particular image here shows that I would appear to be the property. And you got the proposed structure right here.
I can't see.
Is this the existing?
That's the existing house, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's a well that's been drilled,
Yeah.
it's just not, we haven't found it through the state yet. My septic engineer is on vacation.
Okay,
But,
so existing structure, proposed structure.
correct,
One of the issues that's been brought up through this here is access. And you actually mentioned yourself with respect to coming in there and.
yeah, no, she's gonna need to have like a full-blown driveway,
So can you guys just run me through where does, I mean, is there a curb cut here? Like, where is this, where does this existing
it's
structure?
basically, there's a driveway coming in right next to this.
Okay.
That's the parking, maybe a little parking to your, I've only been on site, so.
And then desires to have a second curb cut
Correct.
based upon,
Yeah.
okay, that would attach this much further up Christian Hill Road.
It's clear on the other side then.
Yeah, sorry, there's the.
Yeah, I apologize for the hand drafting.
No,
That's all I could get to the town in time for what we.
Hand drafting is completely okay, as long as it's.
Well, it'll be, when we file for a permit, obviously it's.
Yeah.
I have an architect and stuff like that, so.
So Adam, can you run me through the town's responsibility as it stands today with this particular structure?
Pretty much up until you get to the primary residence, the town stops maintaining south of that.
Okay,
Which is why that waiver is needed, and that just hasn't been decided on or heard by the board of selectmen. So
So is the woman with the mother who lives there presently,
Mhm.
is she having to maintain some Christian Hill Road?
no, they maintain up until the primary residence. South of the primary residence is a summer road, only maintained in the summer. And
And
then,
so what distance will she be responsible for maintaining?
undetermined at this point. Let me read you word for word.
It kind of opens up, like,
I believe it'd be about 500 feet.
Yeah.
Somewhere. in
It's a-
that,
and that's, I mean,
It's a good chunk of road.
it does snow up there.
We've definitely been.
Well, I can take you some of the file for driveway,
Yeah,
they're just gonna, wherever and we could probably work that out with the town as far as where they're gonna dump the end of the Christian Hill Road, but whoever's gonna have to do her driveway could just push.
My mother
It's only
uses
gonna be
somebody that helps her
Yeah.
in the driveway, he said he'll just do mine too, and do my road too, and I didn't know if I needed him to write something or not, but he was fine with that. Just
So
as long as everything works.
let me read Joe's comments, just
Okay.
word for word, just so we have it for the
Yeah.
record. So we as in Joe and Michael Brandley spoke to the town attorney. There will have to be some sort of waiver from the property owner, allowing them to maintain that portion of Christian Hill Road. Because it is a summer road and it's not maintained by DPW. So that waiver has not been obtained yet, and it will need to be a condition of approval.
and maintenance would have to be defined.
Right,
And it will be defined in clearly, yes.
and obviously includes snow removal, but it may refer repair too.
I'm thinking not storms, I'm thinking in the summer when you have 3 feet of rain coming down and washing out a section of the road.
Hold on.
who rebuilds the road in summer and the winter? That's, so that's only my concern, is like during the winter,
Yeah.
there's lots of snow on the road. plowing on the road.
Mhm.
I think what's in the material in the town, when
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
town is responsible for fixing the winter damage and summer damage.
I don't believe they would be.
Well, it's hard to know
So-
which what.
So I guess Ann raises a good question. Is this permit, is that gonna mean that she's then responsible for both summer and winter maintenance?
I'm just curious, because you could argue that damage in the summer was the result of something that happened in the winter, and I don't want her to get posed on this.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes, and so one of the good things about conditions of approval is if you approve with conditions. Those conditions, if they're not met, the approval is null and void. So you're protecting yourself in a way that, you're hinging a potential approval on this waiver. And if they don't obtain the waiver, then it's all moot.
Well, so I want the protection to go both ways,
Exactly,
consideration for the homeowner as well.
yes,
The town.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and the board of selectmen didn't hear this item at the last meeting, so next meeting they will be determining if the waiver is viable or not.
So outside of the. And anyone's any questions whatsoever, we'll entertain them. If anyone has anything to say as well about the application of the property, you're welcome to do so. But just so we understand here and we're clear, the main issues right here are, first of all, the maintenance aspect of what that means in terms of this section of road. So that would be contingent, any approval would be contingent upon a clearly stated, defined discussion on that. And secondly, we still don't have a lot of information as to what the interior space of the ADU, or sorry, the detached ADU is going to be, as long as it's within the 1,000 square foot and not above 2 bedrooms.
Exactly, it's not an application requirement to provide that information.
Yep.
So, but it will need to be a condition that those plans are submitted, and they will need to be submitted for a building permit anyway, so.
And then lastly, the condition of having a septic system.
Septic system.
On property, and it sounds like there at least has been some discovery on that.
Mhm.
But then contingency, because again, we're looking at those 4 questions, and adequate appropriate facilities is definitely going to cover that aspect.
And the location of the well needs to be within the setback, well setbacks and all that stuff. So the well and the septic have to be located appropriately. And the permit that they get from the town has to be given, and then also the size has to be under 1,000 square feet.
Mhm.
So those are several conditions for our approval.
Okay, does everyone understand that? Okay. Does anyone in the audience or anyone have any comments they'd like to make about what the applicant is trying to accomplish? Okay, board, you guys have any additional questions?
Governor.
And just a quick, the other conditions, if an approval was to be made, I think are pretty straightforward, but the maintenance side and what that entails in terms of the road, you understand what that would look like and what that might look like.
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I just wanna make sure I'm there for my mom.
Sure, no, I get that, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns? No? That being said, we're gonna close the public meeting. We're gonna have an internal discussion amongst ourselves. No further public comment can be made at this point. So, board, you guys have any thoughts or questions or concerns you'd like to talk about?
I don't think any of the conditions we need to impose on our approval are earth shattering or difficult for anybody to achieve. But there seem to be a lot of them. That's the only hesitancy I have about this is that there seem to be, we seem to be saying, okay, you can do this if this.
Mhm.
It just seems like there's a lot of conditions. Not necessarily sure that's a deal breaker, but there are a lot of conditions.
Sure. And I know from applications we've done in the past, some of these conditions like septic well, square footage, interior space and so forth are pretty straightforward to a structure and are will be required, but I can't recall, other than one time we had a discussion about maintenance of a road from the the public's participation of it.
Right.
Only one that I recall, and honestly, I don't remember what our ruling was on that particular application. But that being said, that to me is concerning. So it's a big commitment.
But in a sense, we'd be, if we approve it, we're giving that commitment or angst to the property owner, not to ourselves or to the
Correct.
town. I mean, it all comes down to what they're willing to
They're willing
absorb,
to absorb what they
absorb
want
and
to do.
take. Yeah.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, just so that the conditions, you didn't mention the curb cut and driveway, they have to be permitted, I believe, according to the DPW.
Yep.
So that would also be an additional
And then
condition,
additional, okay,
the curb cut and driveway.
and that would also be done at,
I want to make sure I have them all.
sure. Just run down.
Let's get to the questions.
All right, are we ready to, any other thoughts or?
Well, my only thought is until they've had an opportunity to go in and decide where the septic's gonna go. They can't really decide where the house is gonna go, right? I mean,
It's all drafted right now as if
Yeah.
that well was an active well, but I think knowing after meeting up there with the engineer and he said there's no way there's any water in here, so that. For the actual permitting of the construction, it could change the setting and the layout of everything a little bit,
a
but
little bit.
not much.
There's
but
enough
just-
room on that property.
Yeah,
There's plenty of room.
Plenty of room.
Yeah.
and just to make sure, I don't want to be a nitpicker, but we did close the meeting, so we wanna
Yes.
invite public, we have to reopen.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to, so. So.
Then I guess we can get to the questions if no one else has any thoughts or additional information, okay?
Mr. Chairman, just so that I make sure I have it correctly. So the condition would be waiver for the road maintenance,
Correct,
curb cut and driveway permission,
correct,
septic and well location.
correct.
Is there a fourth?
Fourth would be just complying to the building codes of the interior space of the,
Make sure it's 1,000 feet, that kind of thing.
I'm sorry,
Making sure it's less than 1,000 feet.
less than
square feet.
1,000 feet. I have that
no
one.
more than 2 bedrooms, so, and that hasn't been defined clearly enough for us, but that would be a requirement.
Okay,
I do want to say there's always going to be 3 per DADUs, which is principal dwelling unit, or DADU must be owner occupied. Building permit must be approved and issued prior to construction, and it shall meet all life safety building codes. It's in the packet. And then
Yep.
both primary dwelling unit and DADU must remain in common ownership. And shall not be subdivided or transferred to condominium ownership. So those are just 3
I didn't
standing
get
ones.
that.
There, well, I can go to that. Are you sure of that?
Those are just
Standard
3.
ones right
So
there.
every
Oh,
DADU
those.
and ADU, those
It's
are
part of-
always
Right in the
3.
zoning.
Yeah, those are the 3
I think I
always
have those.
They could
constant
do some.
conditions.
They're right in the back.
Waiver for road maintenance, curb cut and driveway permission, septic and well location, square footage needs to be less than 1,000 square feet and no larger than 2 bedrooms,
Correct,
correct? And complying with building codes.
correct.
So
That's-
all of these things are sort of standard.
Yeah.
And right before we get to the questions, I just want to point out something that we should talk about, but we didn't, which is the, parking and such, because one of the conditions we're going to make is nuisance to hazard vehicles, pedestrians. Do you guys feel comfortable that there's adequate space on this segment of property that could accommodate required parking?
I see that there's, in the plan,
Sufficient.
that's sufficient. It seems as though they're gonna plan.
Yeah.
For that amount.
And vehicle and so forth, this is a road that doesn't seem to be traveled often outside of optimal conditions. So,
Yeah, except if you plow it, it will come.
I get,
There could be additional travel on that road. Things.
mhm.
We could entertain guests too.
Okay. First, The proposed use is similar to one or more of the uses already authorized in that district and is an appropriate location for such a use. Okay, we'll start with you.
I agree that this is true. I would say yes. It's very clearly an appropriate use. I mean, a similar use because it's residential and the appropriate location. There's plenty of room on the property and this is, it's, the setbacks are all met and all that, so. Yes.
Okay. Lisa?
I say yes, it's definitely the appropriate use. I think it's great that they want to do what the ordinance was made for, to put a building there to help the family.
So yes,
Yes.
okay, and
And I will concur with what's been said. It's an appropriate use and location.
excellent. I will echo all of your points on this and agree, you know, the whole idea of these ordinances, these types of dwellings is to increase the density of housing in these particular situations, so. Very good, so yes. I say yes as well. So 2, such approval would not reduce the value of any property within the district or otherwise be injurious, obnoxious, or offensive to the neighborhood. Lisa?
I haven't seen any evidence that this would reduce the value of any of the properties. I don't see how it would be injurious or obnoxious. I think it's. Such approval would not, so I say, yes, it would not.
Yes. Affirmative, okay, and?
Yes, I agree. There's been no testimony that says that there would be a problem with this drawing.
Okay, and then Jay?
Yeah, I say yes. It's, will certainly not reduce the value of the property, only increase it in my mind. And, it's hard to say it would be injurious, obnoxious, or offensive to the neighborhood because the neighborhood really doesn't exist. It's a single property in this neighborhood. Yeah.
I would agree with you. Yeah. So yes. I always like, personally, I always like to look at this in the inverse. Would this approval do, would be injurious, the neighborhood and so forth at large? And, I say that, no, I don't see any of that. And I would echo and agree with everybody's, sentiments, especially the fact that, the neighborhood really is somewhat down the street in this case. So yes, for my opinion as well. All right, 3, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. And
Yes, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. And I'm not seeing where there would be an impact or that anyone would even notice it. Such limited use. There would be no real hazard.
okay, Jay?
I agree there would be no nuisance or serious hazard. The only hazard is going to come from the applicant having to drive the road in the winter, so.
I would agree with that. So yes.
Yes, there's no nuisance.
And Lisa?
I'm gonna say yes. I was thinking the same way as Jay. The only hazard is going to be for them and their vehicles maintaining the road.
But we won't have any snow again.
Ever. So it's a yes.
Yes.
Buy a snow blower, rent a plow, you'll never see it again. I'll agree. I mean, I think in terms of what I'm seeing here, Christian Hill Road, this aspect of it, there's got to be very low vehicle or pedestrian use to begin with. And to add any additional nuisance or hazards to this is unlikely in this particular use. So I would say yes. All right, last is adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. Jay, we'll go back to you on this. This is a kind of a loaded one.
This is, yeah, I will say yes, as long as the conditions are met. Because everything about the appropriate facilities and the proper operations depends on those conditions being met. So in that sense, if we attach the conditions, we're de facto saying yes to number 4.
All right, Lisa, what you gotta say to that?
I agree with Jay. Yes.
And Ian?
I agree that the homeowners always expressed a desire to provide the proper operation of this use. So yes.
Okay. And I would gonna echo with all 3 of you, and I would say, you know, appropriate facilities and adequate facilities. Clearly, there is the acreage in this particular parcel that allows for a lot of movement of both the proposed structure, where the well could go, where septic systems could go, and so forth. So I will also say beyond just the, you know, the additional setback or requirements that we put on this, I think that the property does have adequate facilities to operate this use. So yes. All right, so we are, from my calculations here, unanimous all across the board with yeses. So entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the applicant's request for a special exception with the conditions that have been read by Bev.
Yep, I've got them.
Okay, motion's been made.
Second that.
Motion has been seconded. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Right. The ayes have it.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Works.
Thank you, Sam.
And I'm sure you'll be following back up with Adam and.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck on
Thank you
everything.
so
Yep. Okay, moving right along. Lost my front page. Oh. Did it? No. Oh, there we go. There we go.
If it's not attached, right,
Yeah.
why not just ask for a detached? Because that's what we'll be.
There's no space.
What's that?
There's just no space.
Attached because then it's part of the structure.
Yeah.
I see.
This has been existing for like 10 years.
It's attached.
No, it's us actually.
Oh, it isn't. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm misunderstood.
Well, some of the writing in here.
That's hard.
I have lots of questions.
Does not,
Well, let's.
yeah, my note, your notes say it does not have the required connection to the primary building.
That's correct. And we'll get, yeah.
So it's separated. So why not be a detached?
Oh, it has to have an old thing.
Yeah. Well, wait, we can read it.
So we don't have the plans.
It's not-
Okay, we're gonna move to the next application here. Judge, open.
Let me read it and then we can open it.
Okay. All right, so we have another application C on there. It's ZBA 24-015. It's a special exception for Daniel Rayner, who's requested his application to construct an AADU. So an attached accessory dwelling unit, at tax map 103 lot 37. Subject property is in the residence district and located at 3 Wilson Pond Road. So to kick us off, Adam, can you give us a little background on this?
Absolutely. So this is actually an existing attached ADU. It's when you think of an attached ADU, it's kind of like it's a small apartment inside a building. This building used to have more than one. Those are now out. It is no longer a building with more than one it's no longer a structure that has multiple dwellings, it just has 2 dwellings. So it has a primary unit and it has an attached accessory dwelling unit that's been occupied now for the better part of a decade, Dan. So this process is legalizing this attached accessory dwelling unit that has already been existing. And going through the motion to do that.
Go
Yeah,
ahead, keep going.
yep,
I have questions after.
yes. So the subject property is shown at 3 Wilson Pond Road, tax map 103 lot 37. It has 0.19 acres of existing land area, and it already has a single-family residential dwelling, which is owner occupied. The proposed AADU has been built and occupied for multiple years. Some staff comments here. The submitted floor plans show the ADU is within the square footage requirement, so it is within the 1,000 square foot requirements. It does not have the required connection to the primary unit yet. That will need to be a condition of approval, to have that doorway connecting the two units. And this connection has to be added to be compliant with our regulations. That was staff's only comment at this time. Okay.
So I have a question for Adam, and that is why. What would be the difference between this application and applying to convert the residence into a duplex?
Duplex is not a permitted use in the zone district.
The
I
residential
don't think so,
district?
yeah, no, it's not. It's a special exception, so he would have to.
We'd have to have a special exception for a duplex.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if it's a duplex, he doesn't have to have the connecting door. Is that right?
I think the way it's set up now, this is an easier process.
Okay, I mean, it's his choice, obviously, what he's applying for,
Yeah.
but I just trying to get it, as I understand it, we allow conversions to duplexes now in the residential area.
Mhm.
And that's one of the ways in which we're helping to increase housing in Swansea is to allow a single family house to be converted into a duplex.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point, because the duplex could have two different owners, right? They don't have
Well, no, it would be one would have to be,
Right?
yeah, that has to be owned by the same, yeah, right, okay. So, yeah,
But if it's a duplex, that could be two different.
or it could be a rental or
Or it could be rental.
Two separate tenants that don't require a single owner to be on the property.
Yeah,
Mm.
so an ADU, having an ADU means that one of the residences has to be the owner of the property.
right,
Whereas a duplex would not.
right.
I do think there might be different building codes depending on what type of structure it
We'll
is.
just throw it out there, because some people, I think, build ADUs and dadus, and they don't fully comprehend that means they can't later do something else with that whole property.
Mhm.
Improve.
Right, has to stay within one owner and one owner has to live,
Mhm.
and the owner has to live in one of these.
So let's open up the public hearing
Yeah.
and have the applicant kind of give us a synopsis of what they want to do. So opening the.
I'm living there. Actually haven't bought the house yet, closing on Friday.
Could I have the name of the gentleman, please?
Daniel Rayner.
You're Daniel, okay, thank you.
And also already made arrangements to hook the property up to the town sewer. That's gonna be done within 2 weeks of purchase. I think they spoke to the town today, the sewer company. And worked it all out. I'm just waiting for sending me something, an email that I have to fill out and send back. And this gentleman's been living there 10 years. I believe the apartment was constructed in 1968 or 70. Sometime during the Vietnam War. Yeah, around that. So the other apartments have been, most of them dismantled, there's still one that hasn't been. Most of it was just doors they used, the house has like 10 outside doors on it. If you walk around and count the doors, I'm like, oh my god, this house has 1 million doors. So I'm working on getting all that dismantled, and it would just be a single family house with an ADU. So this gentleman can say, he's been there such a long time. He's not related, but he's a nice guy.
Some of the parts before, I thought it's okay if I had something. Yeah.
Just tell.
I'm sorry.
This is the current one.
Maria Lazaro.
I'm sorry, the last name?
Lazaro.
Thank you.
Lazaro.
Got it.
My father built this home. Just in the 50s, when I was in New York. But after, everyone who left, he made a studio apartment. He made a studio apartment upstairs with his then began and put it all downstairs. So one of the apartments was really just a studio and out of the main home. It wasn't a separate apartment, but the apartment I planted with another similar one on the other end that he built, and according to old records, I only learned that most of it's when after he passed. or later, much later in my life, that you probably need to get proper authority for both of those two apartments, but those two apartments, one on each end, there's, you know, one bedroom apartments, three, I guess it's called a 3-room. One bedroom apartment, and they had been in existence for, yeah, over 50 years. And the other, what we're calling apartments were just, you know, part of family home.
Yeah, then he had closed off doors.
Yeah.
We just reopened them.
Yeah, one part, at one point is caregiver with, you know, it's not really a separate, it's not a separate apartment per se, it's just a living quarter for. At one point, my mother, at one point, someone taking care of my father, so anyway, that's just to clarify this.
So basically just gonna be me and Mike and a cat, as far as I know. Maybe 2 cats, I don't know.
You can save one of the doorways for the cat to live in.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of them.
And I have pictures, if you have questions about aesthetics, I don't know. If you're able to-
And Mike's unit does have 2 doors. It's got a door at one end that comes up the stairs and goes inside, and at the other end, it's got another exit that goes down out onto a porch and down the stairs. So he has 2 ways in and out,
Okay.
if you ever needed them.
Maria, you also own the lot next door,
Yes.
is that right? And
44?
I
Oh,
don't,
yes, it's 103, 104, 104.
I'm looking at lot 38 on the,
Oh,
on the
37 and 38, yes.
37, 38, so you're buying 37.
I'm buying 37, 38, 44.
Okay. So I was just curious about the structure that the town GPS shows. It's half on 38 and half on 37.
That's the garage, and we were advised to merge those 2 lots, just an administrative step, but that hasn't been done, but yes, when they came in and drew the maps. The tax maps, the line went right through the garage.
Right through the garage, right?
And that other lot used to have a building on it that burned down, but it's just parking now, so there's a lot of parking.
So you're buying, you're gonna be owning 38, 39, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 40? I mean,
Most of the
that
time.
whole area there?
Just
I tried buying Troy, but it was going out of business.
I'm just, that whole region between, Waters Edge Road and Wilson Pond Road is gonna be you.
It'll be 44, 37, and 38.
Okay.
Just those 3.
Oh, those 3. Okay, got it. With frontage on that area. Okay. Okay.
I thought you were joking.
Well, I was partly joking, but I just wanted to be sure because we're sort of neighbors. I'm across the pond from you, so.
Oh, are we near the airport?
If it comes to aesthetics, I have pictures, I mean, or is that something you look at later just to show that?
Well, aesthetics is part, but a very, very small part of the zoning board's. purview. I mean, what we're really looking at is the setbacks, what the ordinance states specifically, safety, things of that nature. And the special exception questions are really, for this particular, are subjected to only 4 criteria. Which I had just read actually the previous one, but those are what we're really focused in on in terms of that. It is important aesthetics and so forth, but it's not our primary.
So right now we're talking about lot 37, where the building and structure is, right? Okay, so.
So just,
I just, is this public park?
yes,
Okay. I don't have any problem with what, is proposed. I just have a problem with tax map. It's incorrect.
could you just state your name for?
Oh,
I
I'm
know,
sorry,
no.
Marcia Jarza, 17 Waters.
What did you say you had a problem with?
The tax map,
Oh, the tax map.
it's incorrect. It
Oh.
shows the right of way going in the wrong direction,
It does.
and it should be coming between lot 44 and 34. It should come down from Wilson Pond Road, and where it says 115 feet. It should be right there.
You can hear me?
Oh, yeah.
So she's
So it's
referring to. That's not your road.
Okay.
That's not really a right of way, but he has access here, and he's also gonna have access there. Sorry.
So, no, I want you to show me that. It's too-
Please, yes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and everybody talking about this.
Yeah.
Things.
So here's
Yes,
So it's really.
37, no, here's 37.
Well, I have that.
yeah, so access would not be this right here.
Yeah, oh my God, it's like-
So here's the
So
side.
everything would materially impact access.
That's what I walked over and I can't.
I, I mean, I know.
So
we're
he's
probably
24.
around that.
Yeah.
He has access to 38, but this right of way is like a driveway.
Yeah, it doesn't.
All right, just so we're on this, also, does this materially affect this?
Yeah.
But I appreciate you pointing out that this is incorrect. Yeah.
This is the way it's showing, it shows it going down and around the back of each of the properties.
Yeah.
When in fact, it just goes down around like a dog leg and comes between two properties. So the existing driveway that comes through there, right away, it's actually goes in a whole different direction.
In the direction what's current.
Yeah, that, there is a roadway that's shown on the tax map that doesn't, it's just not a road, so. Yeah, we understand that.
And is that something that we can note for future reference that this should be looked at or updated?
It is being looked at, yeah.
Okay.
Minutes.
Apparently, it's not really relevant. It's just,
Yes.
when I looked at this before coming tonight, I was totally confused. I couldn't understand why this map showed the way it is, because I don't recognize those roads there, so.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And that's the new map after they did that.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, this is I'm looking at the GIS map,
Yeah. That was okay.
and it just doesn't make sense.
So it doesn't materially affect access or the AADU or, yeah, for this application purposes, it doesn't really play a role.
So this is like a driveway, here's what you're saying.
Essentially.
And so there's a
Yeah.
driveway to the property. The property is actually accessible to Wilson Pond Road. Okay.
All right, so let me just, yes, sir.
Jim Jarvis, it's not really the driveway, it's actually a right of way. It's for the people for years ago that lived on Pasture Road, used that right of way to get down to the beach on Water's Edge or on the road.
I guess I'm misunderstanding where this is.
He's talking, it's a right of way.
If it's on the property, it's not a right of way, so that's the thing.
Well, there might be some deed access. I don't know, but
Yeah.
there might be,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
some of these deeds up here might have access to that apparently in their deeds, but
Yeah.
we don't know that. We'd have to look that up.
Yep.
But right now, it doesn't affect our decision tonight as long as the owner can get to this property.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh,
David Page, 16 Water's Edge. Is the way they're splitting it up now, is it just gonna be two residences in there? Is there gonna be a lot of empty apartments? Cause there used to be 6 apartments in there.
And
Well,
Claire-
apparently what David said is that
Each
there's
person
only one apartment and the
5 of
rest
those
is,
apartments is gonna be my house.
5 of them, okay.
And the last one, the 6th one.
So you're gonna take it all, okay.
It's all gonna.
Right, okay. I'm just worried about empty apartments, fire hazard, that kind of stuff.
mhm.
So
They're
consult,
gonna be in the whole building.
Yes, I understood that some of the buildings, some of the sections were demolished.
And David, I'm sorry, just to clarify here, this whole process is to get this structure up to code.
Okay.
Part of
Nothing's
this,
been built.
yeah, not
Okay.
so,
nothing's
yeah.
been done.
So this is, so right now, the property and the structure, they're both non-conforming. This is getting the structure to a conforming place. So now the structure will be conforming to our code. And after the inspection and permitting process, it'll be conforming to building code as well.
I have an email from you that says
Yeah.
there is no official roadway going through lot 44.
Not that I could see, and not that I could find in
That
town.
driveway behind the house is part of the property.
That's-
It's part of
that's-
lot 37 and
It's
38.
what I'm showing,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there's no right of way.
Not that I can see, it might take some digging in the deeds
the deeds for the houses around it.
Yeah,
So we don't really know.
So when somebody bought a house on Pasture Road, they might have, in that deed, it might say, you have, this house has access to Water's Edge Road or something like that.
Yeah.
But the town doesn't know that yet because there's a lot of things buried in the deeds.
How does one find out for sure?
The deeds are public record. You can,
yeah.
I've had a title lawyer looking through all the deeds. He hasn't.
If you can't find it.
if you can't find it, it's probably not there.
It's probably not there.
We're just speculating.
Yeah.
I'll
Because
bring it to his attention one more time, just to double check.
And I haven't been able to find anything, just for record, so.
Yeah, you know.
what Jim may be talking about is he's seen people going through that property.
I just went back to it too.
Right?
I drove through.
Well, no, just, up at the end, Mike, I tried, his last name. Fitz, yeah, Fitz, he has the sugar shack there and stuff. Oh, that way. Yeah,
Oh, Mike Delisle,
yeah,
our neighbor.
yeah, and, he's been there 32 years. And it's always been a right of way.
Well, it's the question of if it's an official right of way, or if it's like a right of way that's just have been.
Neighborhood right away.
Or just like, if it's like a social right of way.
It might not be there after a while now.
It might not be an official right of way, and it might just be like a community used.
It was always been clear that the people from Pasture Road and part of Wilson Park could access down through there. To that town property.
It might not be clear after. a week.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just bringing it up so that nobody,
We have a right.
they don't get stopped.
Yeah.
There's another way to land on the beach, you don't need to go for that. That's not, there's plenty of ways.
Yeah, that's impossible.
Absolutely, but.
Yeah, but there's a right way, there's a right way, so you just have to be aware of that.
Yeah, I'm not.
But if the lawyer can't find it, then it's not, yeah, it's not legal. It's not
And
there.
either way, it's not germane to this particular application, but it's something you should definitely follow up with and make sure you have 100%.
Closing on Friday.
An important thing to definitely make sure you.
I don't need to see, I mean, you have to run right through the house, go ahead.
These guys,
If it's raining, though, you might see a lady in a pink coat running through to get to her house with her.
And run through and take your time.
All right, so I believe that we have gone through a lot of the, the application, we've gone through some testimony. The town has weighed in. It seems like what we're doing is trying to take something that was not approved and approving it and officializing it, So that being said, is there any other questions anyone here at the board has of any of the applicant or any of the testimony you've heard? And then otherwise, is anybody here who has got anything else they'd like to add additional to the?
do you have a plan for where the doorway that you need to put in is gonna be? I mean,
I kind of have an idea. Probably in Maria's bedroom area. It's, there's a bedroom back to back with his bedroom, I think,
mhm.
but I don't know plans.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think it's germane to our point here. It's just, we know it's
There's
gonna happen.
definitely a spot.
We know it's gonna happen, but
Yeah, there's definitely room for it.
Okay. And so that would be officially connecting the two structures,
and that would be one of our conditions. if we-
conditions to the approval of the.
So that unit would then have 3 doors. This house has 10 doors on the outside, it's crazy. I've never seen so many doors on a house.
Okay.
Do they all have different keys?
So any other questions, thoughts? All right. That all being said, I appreciate everybody's, everyone's time here. We're going to close the public hearing on it. Is there any discussion on the application anyone here wants to bring up or discuss, or any thoughts or ideas, concerns? Advice? No? Okay. All right. So it sounds like, just to recap, we're taking something out of conformity and putting it into, and from a condition perspective. To the applicant to get this application approved. It has to be attached, right? I mean, that's a conditional piece of this. Is that the only other condition anyone can think of in terms of what would be necessary above and beyond?
It's just, technically speaking, they have to show an interior connection. on the floor plan, which that will be proven at time of permit, so.
And otherwise, we're not changing anything at all to the structure, footprint, layout as we understand it today. Okay. Everyone on the same page? I believe we are. So let's start these over on that one. Okay, first, the proposed use is similar to one or more of the uses already authorized in the district and is an appropriate location for such a use. Lisa?
I would say yes, because it's already been there for 50 years,
That's a good reason.
doing apartments.
All right. Ann?
I think it's similar to one or more uses that are authorized and likely unauthorized in the district. So I think it's appropriate.
Okay. Agreed. All right, Jay?
Yes, it has too many doors, but other than that, it's, this is a use that's very similar.
Okay. And I will agree with all you. It's a use that's similar to the existing use that's already on the property. So yes, come on. Second question, such approval would not reduce the value of any property within the district nor otherwise be injurious, obnoxious, or offensive to the neighborhood. Ian?
I think we've heard testimony that, what's been done with the property already has improved the value of the property. And yeah, I don't think there's anything that's being done that's gonna be obnoxious.
Okay. Jay?
I would say yes, I think the value of the property is increased because it's going to be in compliance, and I also think that the alterations that have already been made and plan to be made to the property will actually make it a better property in general. So yes.
Agreed there as well.
Lisa?
Lisa?
Yes, I agree. This will improve the value of the property.
And I will agree with everyone here. I think that, consolidating and kind of making official what is there and kind of sewing up some of the loose ends is a benefit to the neighborhood. So I would say yes, and I see no evidence that a reduction in property value is something that would be a consequence. So yes. 3, there'll be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicle or pedestrians. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't think that there will be a nuisance or serious hazard. We have already raised the idea that there may be a community right of way on the property that may not be legal. And I think the homeowner will have to address that over time. But I don't think there's a nuisance or hazard to pedestrians. Does that make sense?
Sure. Sure. Lisa?
Yes, I do not see any information showing us that there would be a serious hazard or nuisance to vehicles or pedestrians.
So
it's a yes.
okay. And Jay?
Granting the special exception will not change what's already there in terms of any kind of nuisance or serious hazard. Although I don't think there's one now anyway. But granting the special exception won't increase that in any way, won't cause any of that. So I say, yes, there'll be no nuisance or serious hazard.
I agree with you, Jay, on that. It's kind of my own rationale as well. So yes. Current use and post use is identical, more or
Right.
less.
Yeah.
Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. Okay.
Assuming the connecting door is installed, then I think that's very clear that there's the appropriate facilities are there.
Okay. Lisa?
I agree, and the applicant has already said that they were going to hook up to the sewer system. I think that they're covered, yes.
And
Yes. I agree.
And I will also agree, as long as the, the caveat of attaching it to be compliant with the application itself. So that's necessary. So yes, I would say the adequate and appropriate facilities will be, are being provided for operation of proposed use, so yes. Okay, so again, it looks like we have unanimously yeses. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the ZBA 24-015 special exception. To approve the pre-construction of the AADU on tax map 103 lot 37.
I'll second,
Second,
as long as the conditions are met. The
Just
condition being.
connecting, a connecting door.
Yeah.
That's the only condition.
And the normal ADU.
The normal, yeah,
I can read those if you need.
the ADU can.
Yeah,
And so the other ADU conditions are either the principal dwelling unit or ADU must be owner occupied. Both the primary dwelling unit and the ADU must remain in common ownership and shall not be subdivided and or transferred to condominium ownership.
yep.
okay. So we have a motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those against? The ayes have it. Good luck.
Good job. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. We got one more thing. We got one more thing. Mr. Delaney over there. He has shown interest in joining the ZBA.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So other business, it sounds like.
Well, I don't know. Let's keep it clear. Let it clear.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
This is, it's not part of our meeting, so I don't have that in. What's going on at the Thomas Transportation? Thomas Transportation.
Where's that?
Well, that's, that was, Route 12, they're working on the brothers, I think. There's, it used to be Thomas Transportation headquarters.
Yeah.
It's just shot, just south of the.
I don't know.
Because I understand that several, the brothers is going in there,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they've got the work on it, and they're doing the work in there. from what I can tell.
Can you send me an email? Eric and Joe are gonna be, or Eric is the one who is inspecting.
So it's right here, it's lot 63.
Yeah, I have no idea. Let me check with Eric and Joe to see if there's anything going on there.
It's,
That
There-
property we're talking about.
Yeah.
what I can tell, because I walk by there a lot, so my wife, so that's, they're in there.
And sometimes that, but a lot of it's on the applicants, you know.
Yeah, permit to-
Yeah, let's get Mr. Delaney first.
That's a site, that's a.
All right, so we are actually still in here, other business.
Yep, it is the other business.
Yeah, so other business is something we, we're trying to accomplish is to maintain our board, maintain, volunteers who want to be a part of it and understand the nuances of the zoning board and what we do here. I appreciate you coming here tonight. You want to kind of describe what you just kind
I
of
need
said?
a name, please.
Oh, Pete Delaney.
I'm sorry,
Pete Delaney. Two
what's,
Brown Lane.
what's the last name again?
Delaney, D-
Oh, Delaney, oh, Mimi's husband.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
How many times? we go-
Oh, my goodness.
I played tennis with her.
Oh, nice.
Probably pickle. Still.
She played pickleball now.
I was a resident of Keene for 30 years and served on that ZBA for
Oh,
2 or 3 terms.
good for you.
12 years. When Keene we grew up. going through a lot of same issues. And I have time, I'm not retired, I own a core light company here in town. Which is just over there, and my son runs it, but I go in there and read the mail. My father knows what to do. But I have an interest in the town.
Yeah,
And I'm probably one of the folks in town that pays quite a bit of taxes to the town now. And I did go and talk to the Board of Selectmen on their tax year last week. Told it was a little high. A little excessive, so I'm kind of coming from, I'm kind of on the,
look at me.
no, I'm not looking at for the people, not against them. And we used to, and we had a number of attorneys on the board, and then there was a couple of businessmen. And we would argue some of these things that came, we wouldn't start a hearing after 9 o'clock, we met at 6. And if we started one at 9, it might be a large project, and we would deliberate way past midnight.
We can't start one after 9, per our rules of order.
Yeah,
procedure. So that's
yeah,
good.
that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think you and I talked about maybe starting the meeting earlier.
That's a future, right? Yeah, we'll talk about it.
No, it makes sense.
It does make sense, yes.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you got all those folks trying to get there, it's black and in the middle of winter,
Yeah.
nice to be convenient for that. Other than that, the wide board, I'm at civic doing most of my.
Do you mind if I just go through
ahead.
some points here? Are you a registered Swanzey voter?
Yes.
Perfect. That's really the only requirement. A whole list of things. Yeah. So, just real quick, and so this is from our rules of procedure, which comes from the RSA's.
Sure.
When alternate member vacancies are posted, which this one has been posted for quite a while. Registered Swanzey voters, yourself, may seek to be appointed as an alternate member, and you have expressed your interest in joining the board. The voting on the appointments of alternate members shall occur at a regular meeting of the board. So this is a regular meeting of the board. We can vote to confirm them as an alternate member
No.
now if we want to.
I guess I have one question.
Yeah.
How many alternates are there?
We have Wayne.
Wayne.
We're allowed to have 3.
Three
We have only 1 now. I used to be an alternate, but I'm filling in for, filling the rest of the term for someone who had to leave because he moved to Keene.
Okay.
And, I'll probably run for this position in March, and so could you if you wanted to as
Yeah.
well. So there's gonna
You
be,
move up from the alternate.
you could,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you'd be seated at any opportunity.
And as an alternate, I was seated almost every meeting because
Yeah.
somebody was not
Of
here.
course.
Yeah.
And how we ruled or run the alternates are welcome to join in discussion, questions and so forth, up to the point of voting. So the alternates don't sit on the bench, waiting for an opportunity to come.
You're sitting up here, so.
The alternates sit around the table and fully
That's fine.
participate.
That's fine.
Just a distinction. So when an alternate is not seated, he or she may participate in discussion, but may not vote,
Correct.
just so that's clear.
No, I see. Well, that makes sense.
And then if the alternate is seated, he or she also participates in the
In the
vote.
voting as well.
Understand that.
And tonight would be a night where an alternate could potentially have come in.
Sure.
To fulfill the board.
Yeah, if Wayne was here, he would have been seated.
Sure. I have one question on, I guess, the rules. It was my understanding when we were Keene that we had to be very discreet on discussion. We couldn't really talk about any of the items that were on the agenda.
That's correct.
Unless it was in a meeting, we couldn't meet.
That's
Oh,
right.
absolutely. In fact, we had training on that.
Yeah, and
We're right to
the
know.
way we were trained is you couldn't really continue public hearing. You had to decide on the information that was presented. If in fact you ruled against the presenter, you didn't grant a special exception, they had a right to go back and basically request through the judge, you know, just basically saying that it was, the ruling wasn't, I forget what the word was now. But basically, there was a way for them to have another look if they had to. Yeah, if they had more information.
Absolutely,
Okay.
within 30 days.
We couldn't do a site visit together.
Oh. We are,
Because that opens up the discussion.
Well, yes, but we're gonna do it as a public meeting.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so now you have a public hearing at 4 o'clock, let's say, or 3:30, when you said it, then you're gonna continue that at night here.
Yes,
yeah, it's not a fun situation to be in
I'm not sure
necessarily.
that makes- I don't know if you can do that.
well, we have done this before.
Mm.
I've been here for a long time.
But we can do it, I think.
And it works quite well.
But, yeah,
He's
It
talking
works
about
quite
when
well.
we-
Everybody gathers.
That there's a gap of time between you, when you leave the site until you convene again.
right, so if you and I were
And
trying
you
to
and I, let's say we're riding together. and
we'll
start
write
to chat
together,
about it.
we won't talk about it. We
Can't.
can't,
Yeah.
No.
we don't,
We don't.
we
Okay.
don't.
So, I mean, that's, it just as we feel, we've always, I'm really new in this, but when we continue a public hearing,
Yeah.
we don't talk about it in between at all.
Right, yeah.
And we don't talk about it with anybody in between at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm talking about it with my wife, and then it's okay, then when we return, it's as though we had our eyes closed for a few minutes and then now we're continuing the public hearing.
Yeah.
And the same thing would happen on the same day when we have the site visit, and we don't talk about it. That doesn't, we can think about it individually, but we can't talk about it.
And it takes
The
material.
only reason I mentioned this is it happened in Keene. And it was a fairly large project and we denied it. And the appeal process went up to the Supreme Court, the fact that there'd been some discussion after a site visit before the hearing was reopened or continued at a later date. And so I guess we made a decision among us that we just gonna continue these things. Once we opened the public hearing, we were gonna vote on it that night on the. What was presented.
So just so you're aware that 99.9, well, actually, probably 100% of continuations from this CBA board are usually at the request of the applicant.
Well, sure.
And if it's not if the applicant wasn't here tonight, but he's obviously made it clear to
Mhm.
Adam that he wanted to continue. Sometimes that occurs in the course of discussion. And what the applicant is hearing based on the open public hearing discussion, he or she decides,
They withdraw.
I'd like to have some more time.
Yeah.
Can I continue it? I have never once heard this board ask for continuation that the applicant has not asked for.
Yeah.
Never.
And of course, if we had the public hearing here, so there could have been people in the audience who said, no, you gotta hear it tonight. And then we would have to decide whether we're gonna side with the applicant or not. And of course, the safest thing to do is to side with the applicant who wants the continuance because they're not here.
No, I understand. All I'm saying is from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Team, we had some internal control. And we decided we weren't gonna hear one after 9 o'clock and we were gonna try to get out of there by midnight. Yeah, and we were gonna decide on it because people came prepared.
Mhm.
I mean, for their presentations, and it's not taken like, you know, so very serious.
No, we've had some serious ones here.
This board has.
And I would say
No, I'm
continuances
serious.
are far and few between in terms of
They are.
being granted.
Yeah.
I mean, a handful every couple of years,
Yeah.
in the terms of it.
Certainly, the
And
only,
usually it's under circumstances where the applicant is requesting new information, or needs something different. Yeah.
or you ask for more information from the applicant and they can't get it to you because they have to employ a professional.
But
to
they
get
always
that information.
decide they want to ask for the continuation based on that.
We're not gonna talk about this.
I've never heard any of you guys ask for
Yeah,
them to have a continuation.
and
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, and just a little bit of,
But that was an avenue, fairly large developer took there.
We're still, that's still going on.
just to put your mind at ease a little bit,
Yeah.
Jay and I actually were just recently at a training on Saturday. Really good training. I
It was
thought.
good.
I was able to talk to the head judge for the Housing Appeals Board. and the head judge who presided over the Supreme Court for land use cases.
Yeah.
And I was able to clarify a lot of issues with them. And it is my responsibility to notify the applicant if the board has less than 5 members and tell them they have a right to continue the meeting. That way we don't have to charge them for more public hearing notices and stuff like that. And this is an action that they recommended we take. And so I think it's a really good action that we are allowed to take.
And I mentioned it tonight before both of the hearings that the whole board wasn't here, if you wanted.
Yep.
And.
Yep.
We would never do that. I didn't do that.
Yeah, and we haven't run into those specific issues that you were mentioning where we were being, well, those issues, I think the way we've been doing it has been working.
Yeah.
And it is legal. So that should put your mind a little bit at ease and on that piece.
And it also takes a commitment about every individual board member doing what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
And not having that conversation in the car, and not having
Yeah.
that discussion out of line. I mean, that's something that we
We
take
can-
seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy you were aware of that. That's good. You're coming in here with knowledge, which is
Well,
nice.
And that's not just communication, but emails,
Oh, sure.
phone calls,
Oh, yeah.
text messages,
Oh, yeah.
all of those things.
No, it's not public.
We don't email each other.
Yeah, I blind CC everybody on relevant information, so.
Yeah.
And I think if you join the board as an alternate, just keep asking questions about, is this what we should be doing? Because we need to keep thinking about it.
Yeah, and then you have the opportunity to go to trainings on the town's dime, so I will identify members of trainings and it's always good,
Oh, it is all good.
always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned some things, I'll share with the board at some point.
That was a good training.
No, we should find some time, maybe for the next meeting,
We got time.
afterwards, to have a discussion about that.
I'll put it on the agenda.
I learned, part of our presentations were on how zoning laws get crafted, and so it was actually more relevant to the planning board than to us.
Yeah.
But
That was a planning board focused training, I think.
I think just to tell you the thing that I got out of that was that special exceptions for particular districts
No problem with that.
should have conditions listed in the ordinance. So if we're gonna put a multifamily dwelling in the business district, there needs to be conditions and that need to be met, and there are some in the zoning ordinance now. But if you're gonna put a gas station there, maybe there needs to be specific conditions to the gas station that need to be listed under the gas station as a special exception use. It's just things like that we could tighten up the rules, so we don't, some of us have said, we can see how this would lead to hazard. But the reasons we give for hazard are coming from our own heads instead of having some of them listed versus that traffic patterns or whatever might be in one area of the town different from another. So it seems to me a special exception is where we decide whether this particular use, which is allowed in the ordinance under a special exception, goes in that particular location. And so there might be criteria for some of those uses that relate to a particular location. It should be in the ordinance. But we don't write the ordinance, planning board does. So I'm saying this mostly for you.
I would love for you guys to propose anything.
Well,
It does have to go to the planning board first.
So if we step back and look at it from farther away. In the last few years, I mean, who's the oldest member, who served the longest on the board?
Probably if this from here, myself,
Brian Rutgers, who's,
and I say Brian over me.
Yeah.
In terms of.
But in
length of
your
time.
experience.
and Bev has been around for a
I've
while.
been here longer than
Yeah,
anybody.
She just said that. She plays tennis. What percentage have you denied?
I would say. The application themselves, I don't know, 75-25, 25% denial, 75%
Yeah,
approval.
and there's only been one that I was very upset about, I'm
Yeah.
still angry about it.
I would say
I didn't mean to hit that.
lower.
But I would say somewhere in that,
Yeah.
but that's not saying, because each application.
I would
it's not
say
like
80,
Well, I mean, we were
20.
taught.
80-20?
80 approved, 20, that's what I would say, given.
Yeah, we were taught to use our common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't make sense. And then you go through the four questions, but it doesn't make sense.
One of the things that's One of the things that's changed recently is that the law now says that we have to say facts, why we say yes or no. And in the past, that's led to some trouble because some of the facts in the case that Ann's angry about, and I speak as an outsider because I was not a member of the board then, some of those facts were misrepresented to the court.
Yeah.
The facts that the board decided the case on were not reported correctly in the pursuing legal.
So you're right down.
Wait a minute, wait, they weren't recorded.
Shed. The guy that couldn't put a shed on the property, couldn't put in a shed. near the
Didn't make
property,
sense.
that made
They weren't recorded legally?
No, what I'm saying is the lawyers for the.
Yeah.
petition-
So to go back to your initial question, when I first got on this board, I was the youngest member in terms of length of time serving, bar none, being my first day. And most of the people who were on that board at the time had been part of the zoning board for, a decade or more. And when I came to that board, who are still members of the community at large here, who are part of other types of governance here, the likelihood of getting a variance passed was pretty low.
Yeah.
It was a high bar to pass, and special exceptions, not much better.
Yeah.
But what we've seen is a lot of the applications that have come to the board, so we look at everyone very differently or give their own specific use, have been organized well by and prepared well by the staff of the town. So it's not often that we've seen too many applications that are just completely bonkers off the wall. So that's helpful from our perspective.
I won't let that come to you guys.
It's still gonna be difficult to get a variance.
You have the proof hardship.
Through us. And I have one, speaking of that, and I don't know if I can speak about it. We're in a meeting.
Mhm.
I think the applicant that we continued needs to apply for a third variance. Because a duplex is not an allowed use in the business district.
That's one of the variances.
Oh, I thought it was the, I thought it was the setbacks and also the fact that, no residential building is allowed to be built in the residence in the business district. So it's not multifamily, because multifamily has to have a minimum of 5.
Mhm.
So I thought the way it reads, he was asking for,
Two family. It's a
two
duplex.
family, right?
Duplex.
He's asking for a duplex.
Yep,
right?
so the variances, just for the record here are, the first variance is to build a duplex in the business district. That is not a permitted use in the business district, hence the variance. The second variance is because he's within all of his setbacks.
Mhm.
And he's building on a lot under 1 acre, but that section of code is the same section.
Oh,
So
okay,
he-
that's what I thought it was.
Yes.
Okay.
No, a very fair question, but there's a whole paragraph on lot dimensions, and it says blah, 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 1 acre, blah, 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 setbacks. It's
Okay.
in the same section, so
Okay.
he's varying the
Okay.
same section, so one variance.
I thought it was 1 acre
Yeah.
setbacks and.
That's what we initially thought, but it's 2.
Okay.
But
So-
to your point, variances, are a high bar, in terms to get approval for. And just recently, a lot of special exceptions in general that we've
Mhm.
seen over the last
I've been really
year and a
well
half.
presented.
Yeah, and they've been well presented. Most of the people have done their
They're gonna get
homework,
better.
they've come.
Yeah.
And to your point, having, a large easel or something that
I
everyone can
had set
view.
it up so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I was
that's
trying to figure out
Jeez.
where that wasn't a Christian no road.
individually, in other words, B1 separately.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it should be done separately,
Yeah,
B1 and
yeah.
B3
Yep.
separate.
Absolutely.
That's why I had to set it up.
Yeah.
Tell.
That's great,
That's what you're gonna do the next time around.
yes.
Okay, all right, good.
All right. Yep, we wanna get to the voting board. Do we want to, maybe he
So-
wants us to. vote.
I move that we affirm or tell the.
Well, let's make sure the application is
Still
still
wants to-
still desired.
We aren't allowed to do it right now, so. Allowed to do it right now.
We go talk to Joe and say they just,
Go up there.
you know.
Then that's that road.
All right, just to keep it all moving.
Sorry.
And to keep no, I would say, do you still intend or desire to be a part of the zoning board experience?
Or do you want to come?
Oh, I don't see any meetings, so. I'm seeing enough meetings. No, I'm more than to, that's what you need.
Yeah, I think, having qualified zoning board members is something this town requires. It's been a great board. We've gone through some movement recently.
Yeah.
Some, I don't call the old guard, but some people who've been here a while have kind of moved over and are doing different
Trying
things.
to attract young ones.
But it's been a very good experience and I think we do a good job here as a board. We work well together. So that's something that, you know, we can always improve on. But I think we do a pretty decent job of doing it thus far. So if you
I'm
still
excited to
desire,
do that. I think we should vote to affirm that application. He's still got to go to the select board to get appointed, but.
Yep.
I've moved that we affirm Pete's application.
I'll second that.
okay, so we have a motion to affirm and a second. All
I
those,
have, the name. Rather than firm, name Peter Delaney
Next.
okay,
as an alternate for the town of Swansea zoning board of adjustment.
That's up.
Okay,
I think that's probably the.
that's better.
formal, I like it.
Sounds good.
Right.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
So the motion has been changed and
I'll accept-
updated. and
I will
now
accept
it's-
the amendment. I will accept the amendment.
Okay,
That's why
it's
I
been amended.
accept the amendment.
And so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome aboard.
Thanks lots.
Thanks, Pete.
So now I'm Special Olympics at Continental, now I'm on this board.
Is your son a voter in Swansea?
Um,
We won't get into that.
He lives in Surrey.
Okay,
No, I've been on a Special Olympics board. 5 terms, they finally said. You don't have to come to the board retreat, but we would like you to show up on Friday night so we can honor you. And I said, so I gotta drive up to Waterville Valley to have a cocktail, and I don't drink. So I was like, does that make much sense? And I said, well, I knew just where I'm gonna go. Okay. So I'm glad that you guys can find a spot.
Absolutely.
No, we look forward to working with you.
Now, is it still a rule that the alternates coming on board take everyone to dinner the first night? Is that?
I think they have to give us gift certificates. Because we can't meet.
Can't be. Well, you guys, okay. No, I appreciate your interest and look forward to working with you on the board.
And I'll hear from you sometime.
tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, it has to go in front of the VOD or just what?
I believe so.
Oh, yeah.
At the very least, we need to do an oath of office.
And typically it's the.
My memory is that I had to go to the selectmen
You have to go to the
to get
select-
appointed as an alternate.
Yeah,
It's really much a rubber stamp, and
The
then
official, right.
they'll be overjoyed.
But I'll send you the details tomorrow.
Yeah, they don't want me.
All right.
I said, you're not gonna get 19.8, you're gonna settle out 17, no, and they just laughed, and I said, you're not. And it was just me and them, the whole town, they're setting the tax rate on a new assessed value. That was supposed to be somewhat near where we were, right? It's
Supposed to be.
not even close.
Okay,
So that's a whole different discussion.
a different discussion, we can have in
Get
2
those-
seconds.
Get those-
But I was the only one there to argue with them, and they came down.
We've got to get
I must have
the,
done a good job.
we've got to get the people in Concord to stop reducing the state taxes. So we don't, well, so what I'm saying is if we
Anyone
if we
have a
pay less
desire
state tax,
to make a
then we
motion
get less
to
money to
close
the
our
town, and we
meeting?
have to increase the town
Make a
taxes.
motion to close our meeting.
Fantastic. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
You got a second? At least some no discussion. Are we all in favor?
I'm voting with my
Aye.
feet,
That's the next meeting, 16.
Yes.
7 o'clock.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.